The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed.
Hey guys, it's Keisha. Welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I've been meaning to do one of these talk directly to you kind of videos for a minute, and I thought what better way to open up a dialogue with you guys and kind of just share more about me and my experiences than through a story time video. So now, disclaimer, this video is not intended to be messy. I do not condone drama. This is simply an honest reflection on a bad experience which later turned out to serve a greater good. Got me? Good. So just a little backstory. I've been around in the natural hair community for a few years now. I'd say since like 2009. I first started out on Tumblr, and over the years I've met a lot of amazing women and cultivated relationships online, and I thought it was about time that I made the effort to meet some of these people who supported me over the years. So I was planning on having a meet and greet at the top of the year, last year 2016. Now, in addition to having a meet and greet, I also had the goal of meeting and introducing myself to other New York based vloggers and bloggers, right? So I had a hit list of different people that I wanted to, potentially meet and network with, and one of them was this particular YouTuber. Let's call her Catherine. So at various points in the story, I may refer to her as Catherine, right? I had met Catherine in person at an event, and I went over to her, introduced myself, we exchanged cards. I asked her if she was comfortable with me following up with her to see if we could coordinate a time that we could actually meet and sit down and shoot the breeze or whatever. So she agreed to it. She said she was fine. She had other obligations in her life at that time, and I followed up for about 6 months, and finally we decided on a time and a date that we would get together. Since I was the one pretty much initiating everything, and she's not originally from New York, I picked the time and I picked the place, and we decided to meet up. So I picked a place in Harlem. I picked a nice little spot that I felt that we should be able to have some type of privacy and be able to actually talk and connect. So the day of, I arrived first at the restaurant. She arrived on time shortly thereafter. She was beat, she was cute, we were seated, and I proceeded to just ask her questions to get to know her. I expressed to her that I really enjoyed the content on her channel. At the time, she had an interesting segment on her channel. The fact that she was collaborating with people that didn't necessarily already have a following, I thought that was an admirable thing, and I also felt like that was in line with the things that I'm passionate about. I advocate for representation and visibility for people, natural hair, certain body type, people that are not represented enough when it comes to media and television and social platforms. So again, I thought that her videos and her content on her channel was very much in line with that, and I of course felt like it would be awesome if her and I could collaborate on something. I didn't have anything definitive at that time. I simply just wanted to meet and introduce myself. If she needed a tour guide, or if she needed someone to show her around New York, or someone to go with her to events or something of that sort, I was open to that. I expressed that to her, and she seemed to show a mutual interest. She expressed to me that she previously had a bad experience with YouTube Sisterhood, where she basically, her channel was growing alongside a couple other YouTubers, and again, she had other obligations, and during that time their YouTube channel grew tremendously, and she was still kind of struggling to get her numbers to match theirs, and during that time they basically shunned her. When they came to New York, she had the hookup, she took them places, she showed them around, VIP treatment, things like that, and she wasn't included in their vlogs, she wasn't included in their photos. They didn't give her credit, or even on the friendship level, they just didn't show any kind of appreciation, and they just really took advantage of all of the hookups and connections that she had at that time. That really resonated with me because of course everyone has their own sob story, but I felt like that was like a bonding moment, because I felt like at the very least this person had experienced something similar to what I've experienced with the past, with meet and greets and meeting people, and I felt like I wouldn't have to be cautious or worrisome about her potentially doing the same thing to me, because she knows firsthand what that feels like, right? Right, wrong. So we were at the restaurant. I had originally only intended to keep her for about an hour or so, but an hour came and went rather quickly. The restaurant was switching over from like happy hour, like their dinner menu or something of that nature, but they asked us if we were comfortable moving. They ended up moving us about 3 different times. We were really just sitting down, really just connecting and really just vibing. Again, I was very conscious of the time that we were spending, and I let her know, you know, it's totally understandable if you have to go. And she was like, no, this is really, I'm really enjoying, you know, us vibing and just getting to know each other. We talked about the things that we were working on. I told her that I wanted to do a natural hair oriented event or a meet and greet, and she told me that she was having her first event in an upcoming month, and we both agreed that we would support each other. Like on the spot, I went on to the Eventbrite and I purchased tickets for her event, and she promised that of course if I got my event details situated that she would of course support me in return. Her event was maybe like a month or 2 away at that time, so I figured that was plenty, you know, plenty time for us to possibly meet up again and hang out or whatever may come of us getting together at that time. She shared in great detail the stories and the experiences that she had with this fake YouTube sisterhood, and the YouTubers that belong to the sisterhood are actually pretty well established in the women of color category on YouTube now, and I felt really bad for her because I felt like, you know, they really took advantage of her connections, and I just thought it wasn't fair and that wasn't nice. Aside from my event, I discussed with her other plans that I had, and she seemed interested in being included. She was also excited about the fact that I was married and she's married as well, and she said that was one of the challenges that she was having because most of her friends were single. So she kind of mentioned the idea of us potentially even doing like a double date situation. I mentioned to her that I had gone on a vacation with my husband and that I'm kind of really into this like thrill-seeking kind of experience. And I told her that I was curious about doing indoor skydiving. That was something that she shut down immediately. She was just like, I'm terrified of heights, no ma'am, I'm not doing it. And I'm like, oh, you know, okay, there's plenty of other options and plenty of other things that we can do, but that's definitely something that we were both looking forward to. She even shared with me what her dreams and aspirations were and her reasons for deciding to relocate to New York. At that time, she said that she wanted to be on television. You know, she said flat out that she wants to be famous. I thought that was a little cautionary flag for me when she said that, because I'm just like, okay, what do you want to be famous for? You know, what's your cause, or you know, what is it that you want to be famous for? I don't know, girl, I just want to be famous. I just want to be on my TV screen. I'm like, okay, you know, we just met. I don't expect her to share her in details her life aspirations, but you know, back in my mind I was kind of like, nah, I'm okay. She like into the whole Kim Kardashian overnight celebrity kind of deal, like I don't know, but again, non-judgmental. So, but you know, that was something that just kind of stood out to me. So the night continued and we started to chit chat about people that we both wanted to work with and certain ideas for videos that we were considering doing. I told a couple of jokes. It seemed like she got my sense of humor, so we were really just vibing out. When the time came for us to wrap up our evening, of course, you know, we agreed to stay in touch, and the next day, I believe was like a Tuesday, I was at work and there was a TV monitor on that so happens to be on one of these shows, Good Morning America or something of that sort, and they had this woman or this person who was hosting a segment on the show, and this person was so dry and so bland and so uninteresting that I was just like, you know what, she may have a shot at actually doing this. You know, that's what she expressed that she wanted to do. And I'm like, if they could have this boring, dry person hosting an entire segment about fashion or whatever it is she was talking about, didn't seem qualified to me to host that segment, I was just like, yeah, she definitely has a shot because she's full of personality and she was, you know, a beautiful girl. So I sent her a text message to encourage her and let her know that, listen, what we talked about yesterday, I feel like you definitely have a shot. If you turn on your TV screen right now, you'll see, you know, you'll see what I'm talking about. That was basically the gist of the text message I sent. Didn't hear back from her. I was like, well, you know, maybe she's busy, maybe she had, you know, maybe she's grinding, whatever. She never responded to that text. Over the next couple of weeks, I continued to shoot her text messages, which she never responded to. I thought that was a bit odd, so just to sort things out, I was like, you know what, let me follow up and send her a message on Snapchat. I sent her, I'm a very chatty kind of person, so I sent her like a paragraph saying whatever it is that I said, and in that paragraph, I probably like gave her 2 compliments and asked 3 questions, and she usually would just be like, oh thanks, and like that was it. I feel like she responded out of obligation, because on Snapchat, you know, when a person opens up your Snap message, you can see that they opened it. So it seemed like she didn't want to be blatantly rude by indicating that she looked at it and clearly just did not decide to respond. But either way, it started to come off as rude. So this went on for a couple of months. I'm not an egotistical kind of person. I try to be very humble. So I tried not to let that really affect me, but it definitely started to wear on me. It definitely made me feel inadequate. It made me feel a bit insecure. I felt like, you know, here, she's a bigger YouTuber. She has more social currency on Instagram and on YouTube. So I felt like she did, like I was like charity work, like she did me a favor by meeting up with me, but I felt like maybe I wasn't the it girl, or maybe I wasn't on her level for her to want to keep in touch and want to be friends or want to network with me. So with me continuously reaching out and not hearing anything back from her, that feeling only grew stronger. So remember, I said that when the day that we met up in person was the day that I purchased tickets to her event. So now her event was coming up and I wasn't sure what to do. I was torn. I felt like this person definitely doesn't deserve my presence. This person definitely doesn't deserve me showing up and showing support. But at the same time, I was like, I already paid for it. She already got my money, and I don't want to cower away from this experience, you know? Or in the event, let's say she was just super busy, maybe she was away, maybe she was back in whatever state she came from, just rationalizing the whole situation. So I decided that I was going to go to this event. I believe her event was like on a Thursday night or something like that. Prior to her event, I was up still working on my videos, still working on my channel, and because this is a new process for me, I moved super slow. So I had been up, no lie, like 36 hours straight, no sleep. And then I had to go to work for a full 12 hours, and I took my clothes to work, I changed at work, and I took a cab and went to her event. Showed up at the event, got there a little bit late, but I showed up nonetheless. Upon getting there, she greeted me like nothing happened, like, hey girl, thanks for coming out, this is my husband so-and-so, this is Keisha, thank you so much for showing support, the fake ear kisses, you know, and then she went on about her business. Now I feel crazy because the whole time I've been following up and texting this person. I thought we was vibing when we met in person or whatever, but you just flat out just like ignored me, just paid me dust, and then I see you and it's like, you know, nothing happened. So I'm just like, you know, what do I do? How do I react? Whenever I go to event, I always make it an objective to work the room and to introduce myself. I wasn't gonna let that get me down. Although it was her event, there were other bloggers that was there that I wanted to introduce myself to, and I did. There was one YouTuber there that I particularly wanted to collab with, and this was someone that we mutually discussed that we wanted to collaborate with. So I spent the night pretty much talking to that person, gave that person my card, you know, usual networking zhuzh. So that was that. I was working through the experience. I was just trying to let it go, although I had been really hurt and felt really insignificant and felt like, you know, like I don't have anything to offer. That's most likely why this person doesn't want to work with me or doesn't want to be friends with me. But I tried to let it go as much as possible. Even being in the room, it definitely dimmed my spirit. It was a bigger challenge to like keep a smile on my face and like, you know, introduce myself to other people. But I got through it and, you know, of course went home and finally got some rest. I felt like I had let go of the situation and just clearing my head and trying to let go of all of the negative feelings that experience was stirring up in me. Fast forward a little bit later, scrolling through Instagram, came across this young lady, a blogger who was also a fashion designer, whose home was vandalized, broken into, and the incident seemed very personal. It seemed like whoever it is that broke into her apartment most likely had been there before, most likely had to have known her. They rummaged her entire space, they stole everything. They took her laptop, hard drives, backup hard drives. I believe they even took like her first sketch that she ever did. Like they really like crippled her as far as her content and her ability to make designs and make money from her creativity. And immediately I thought of Catherine. different. At the time, Catherine was new to New York, and she was just so excited to be a New Yorker and be living in New York that I noticed that whenever she uploaded a photo onto Instagram, she would put her location. And because I worked in the same area that she lived, I thought that to be very dangerous. Like, I didn't know her exact location of where she lived, but because I was familiar with the neighborhood, if I wanted to, I would have been able to figure out where she lived. So when I saw this designer / blogger have this horrific vandalization kind of experience, I immediately screenshotted the post, and against my better judgment, I sent her a text message and I was like, listen, I noticed that you've been doing this, putting your location on your post. I wasn't sure how to approach this situation in the past. I didn't know if I had enough credibility to even let you know that that was something that you shouldn't do, but this is exactly why you shouldn't do that. Like, you need to be careful. Look what happened to this person. You would think that at the very least, a decent person would be like, thanks girl, thanks for looking out, or thank you, you know, at the very least. You think she texted me back? No, of course not. She didn't. So that kind of like solidified it for me, where I'm just like, okay, this person is really a piece of work, you know? Like, I couldn't get over it. I'm just like, how is it that you shared with me a story about YouTube Sisterhood and how they did you dirty, how they basically shunned you from the group, they pretty much used you for your connections, and they pay you dust, they don't answer your text message. They did exactly to you what you're doing to me. Like, I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. To add insult to injury, with me feeling victimized and with me just feeling like I ain't shit pretty much, this person ended up collaborating with the other YouTuber whom I told you that I met at her event, and that pretty much we spent the whole evening chatting and talking about videos, and she ended up doing a video with this person. In this video, it turned out to be the exact same idea that I had discussed with her that I wanted to do with her. I thought it to be a bit coincidental, but as I continued to watch, several other things that she said I realized was something that I shared with her. Like she even like recycled my jokes. Like, she legit like recycled my jokes, and I'm just like, oh, okay, so I did have something to offer you. You just preferred to just hijack my entire idea rather than work with me. You didn't even have the decency to text the person back. Like, I just couldn't. Like, I couldn't. I was trying to can, but I couldn't. Like, I didn't get it. On top of that, Catherine goes and make a video about pretty much how to be an opportunist, pretty much. Like, and I was just like, well, I guess I just got like, what do I do now? And honestly, for months, I was really down about this experience. I felt ashamed. I didn't want to tell anybody. I was just really hurt. It really compromised my momentum that I had, and I know that I shouldn't have allowed the experience or that person to have such an impact on me, but my cause is all heart. So for me to have such great intentions and for me to feel like I was vibing with a person, I felt like I did proper vetting. So I definitely wasn't expecting that this would be a person that would treat another person this way. I had great intentions for 2016, and this experience really just shut all of it down, and I didn't know how to even recover from the experience, honestly. Like, I didn't want to reach out to anyone or work with anyone else and risk having this experience, especially since it seemed like that was like the common theme with a lot of people these days, is like everybody just wants to come up, you know? What could you do for me? And as a new YouTuber, there's a lot of us, and I know you may feel like you can't compete or you have so far to go to be of the caliber of these more well-known established YouTubers. That's not the case at all. That's really not the case. I'm sure I'm not the first, and I'm sure I won't be the last up-and-coming YouTuber who doesn't have a large following but gets victimized by someone else pretending to be a part of this sisterhood. Have you ever been in a similar situation, whether it be at school or at work, where you felt like you misjudged someone and they took advantage of you? Definitely leave me a comment down below and let me know how you would have handled this situation. The point of this entire story was just to let you know, do not discount your dopeness based on social currency. We tend to idolize these social media celebrities and follow these people that have no substance. Treat people fairly the way you would like to be treated. As As always, thank you guys for allowing me to share this experience. I definitely hope that you received my message and you were able to take something away from my experience. And I look forward to connecting with you guys in future storytime videos. Thank you for watching.